and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Priscilla, and this is the Carnivore Journey. If you are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome and thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. And if you have been following along with me for the past 24 weeks, I just want to say thank you so much for your continued support and thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. So today I want to talk to you about carnivore foods. I want to talk to you about my way. I want to talk to you about the do's and don'ts when it comes to carnivore. And then of course I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my week. So let's just jump right into it. I'm on a lot of carnivore Facebook groups, and a lot of people ask the questions, what are we allowed to eat? What are we not allowed to eat while on carnivore? I see this constantly while I am thumbing through Facebook. So I put a list together for those of you who are thinking about being on carnivore, what you should and what you shouldn't be eating. So this is a list of carnivore foods I put together. So let's start with ruminant meat. Beef, such as ribeye, beef liver, chuck roast, lambs, such as lamb chops, deer, elk, and even moose. Any meat from an animal that has multiple stomachs. The next thing would be dairy, which would consist of heavy cream, cheese, sour cream, but in this house, we only use Daisy. The next one is fat. That would be beef tallow, lard, ghee, butter, and bacon grease. The next category will be poultry, which would consist of chicken, turkey, duck, and chicken and duck eggs. The next category is your fish category. This would consist of tuna, salmon, sardines, crab, clams, shrimp, lobster, and trout. And the last category is pork. This would consist of pork belly, bacon, and pork chops. So to be honest with you, those are some pretty good foods. Think about that. Ribeye, chuck roast, pork, bacon, butter, heavy cream, sour cream. The list just goes on and on. So the next thing that I see on these Facebook posts are what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to carnivore. So I put a list together, and here is the do's and don'ts of carnivore. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to eliminate any processed foods. Get rid of them, don't eat them, we are eliminating them. The next thing we're going to eliminate is eliminate plant foods. This would be anything like fruits and vegetables. We're going to eliminate sugar. If you haven't watched my videos, go back 2 or 3 weeks. I gave you many reasons on why we should eliminate sugar. And if you did not see those videos, I highly recommend you go back and watch, because sugar has a very negative effect when it comes to our bodies and our health. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to drink water. When you are on carnivore, it is very important to drink water. If you did not see my video about how much water you should be drinking and what the importance of water does to our body, please go back and watch that video. It's when I went to Five Below, I bought the weights, and I also bought the big jug of water, because it's very important to stay hydrated when you are on carnivore. But unfortunately, because the water that we drink is so purified that we do not get the nutrients and the minerals we need, then we have to do other things to stay hydrated. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to hydrate with electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So if you didn't catch my video about why it's important to stay hydrated, be sure to go back and catch that video. But I also told you that our water is so purified that I was never able to quench my thirst. And the reason why I wasn't is because I was very low on electrolytes. I needed more sodium. I needed more magnesium. I needed more potassium. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to tell you what I do at my home. So I grab my glass, and I have this little teaspoon, and I have this measuring spoon, and it's a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay? I fill it up with about 2 ounces of water, and then I take my sea salt, and I fill it up, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And then I grab my new salt, and I do a 1/4 teaspoon of my new salt. And there is where I get my potassium, and this is where I get my sodium. Then I stir it, and then I drink it. And that's what keeps me hydrated. But where do I get my magnesium from? Well, that's a good question. So what I take is the ZMA for magnesium. So now I'm completely hydrated and my body has everything that it needs. It has electrolytes, it has sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and I am hydrated. So those are some little tips of what I do. The next thing we're going to do is that we are going to eat fat. Eat fat. Can't get any simpler than that. Just eat fat. Eat meat. We went over the list of meats that we can eat. You can eat ribeye, you can eat steak, you can eat pork, you can have bacon, you can have chicken, you can eat as much meat as you want to eat. Just eat meat. That is why it's called carnivore. And the last thing is that we can eat fish, sardines, trout, salmon. Sounds like an amazing way of eating if you ask me. So here's a list of things that you need to eliminate. These are the things that you need to make sure that you're doing. These are the things that you need to start drinking. And this is how you stay hydrated as carnivore. So now that the weather is starting to get cooler where I live, I'm going to make a bone broth because I think bone broth has so many wonderful and healthy benefits. Like I said, it's starting to get cold where I live. I don't know what the weather is like where you live, but here it's about 17 degrees right now outside, so it's pretty cool. If you didn't catch my video when I did my fasting, I fasted for 96 hours because I was having some medical issues, and when I came out of my fast, I started to do a bone broth, and the bone broth was actually very good. So next week, in next week's slides, I'm going to just put the recipe up for how to make the most healthiest and the most wonderful bone broth you can think of. So what is bone broth? Well, it's made from animal bones and connective tissue. It contains minerals such as magnesium and calcium. So be sure to tune in next week so that I can give you the recipe so that you can start making your own homemade bone broth. All right, so as of today, when I weighed in, I have officially lost 50 pounds. So hooray for me, I have met a milestone and I am very excited. If you watched my video the last 2 weeks, you know that I have been holding at 166.4 pounds. And no, I wasn't discouraged because I know and I knew that I was doing everything that I needed to do as far as following this new way of eating. But unfortunately, things just happen and we stall, and especially with women. So for just a second, I want to talk to you women. We have to take a lot of things into consideration. We have to take in our hormones, and for some of us, we still have to take in other things, if you know what I'm talking about, that comes around once a month. And I was not taking that into consideration, especially coming right off the holidays. So I am very proud of myself. I'm officially down to 163 pounds. I have lost 50.9 pounds. I cannot believe it. I am so excited and I am so thrilled. And this is definitely a milestone for me, especially being on carnivore. So hooray for me, pat on the back, doing a great job. And I'm so happy to see what the results will be as I continue on this journey. So this is a little quote that I thought was very special for this occasion for me losing 50 pounds. It says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I just believe that is so true. I had to make up my mind to do carnivore, but yes, I made up my mind, but the hard part was that I had to start. I had to start doing carnivore, and it turned me upside down. It turned me on my head because I had to change everything that I've ever known about myself. I had to change the way I thought about food. I had to change the way that I looked at food. I had to change the foods that I was eating. And the results have been amazing. And I'm not going to say that it's been easy because it definitely hasn't. And if you've been following along, you know that. You've seen the struggles. When I started, it was right at the end of the summer. Kids were about to start back at school. I remember I told you the funny story about me going and the kids wanted pizza and going through all that and the battle that I was having. I went through Halloween, I went through Thanksgiving, I went through Christmas and New Year's, and now Valentine's just around the corner, and I made it through without gaining any weight and feeling great. So, like I said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So don't be afraid, just take the step. You have no idea where it's going to lead you. And that was written by Lao Tzu, and that just cannot summarize this journey enough for me. So I want to say before I end the show today with this last quote, and it says, when you feel like quitting, think about why you started. And that is something I've never thought about quitting carnivore, but there have been times where I've struggled. I have struggled between the battle of old Priscilla and the new Priscilla. And there are many times where I was like, I don't know what is happening, especially around the holidays. But when I think about it, or temptation was setting in, I would go, why am I doing this? And I would remember, I'm doing this for many reasons. I'm doing this not only because I wanted to lose weight, I wanted to feel comfortable in my skin. I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to have energy. I didn't want to have inflammation in my legs and hurt. I felt like I was just too young to feel the way that I felt. And since I started carnivore, I feel like I have energy and I can run in circles around people who are 20 and 30 years younger than me. I'm wearing clothes and I'm in a size now that I haven't been in since I was in my 20s. And I'm very proud of where I've come from, especially from where I started at 213.9 pounds. 2 years ago, I was 250 pounds. And here I am 2 years later, almost 100 pounds from where I started 2 years ago. I can't even believe it. So when you feel like quitting, think about why you started. So before I end the show, I just want to know if you've started your journal. And if you have, let me know in the comments that you started your journal. You don't have to tell me about what you're writing. If you'd like to share some of your goals, I would love to hear them. And I want you to share with me about your me time that you had this week. Unless it's too personal, of course, you don't need to share my me time this week, as I went walking, I did some studying. I had some quiet time in my room with just music, and it was very relaxing. And it definitely made a change in my week just to have some time for myself. Also, last thing, I officially started my new job. I'm technically on the floor now. I'm very, very excited. The first 2 days have been amazing, and I think this is going to be an amazing and wonderful opportunity for me where I will be able to grow in this company, and I'm very excited. Like I said, stay tuned. Maybe in a few videos, I'll tell you exactly where I'm working once I'm officially established there. I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to tune in every week. I hope that you all feel wonderful and motivated, and January is really going in the direction you want it to go in. My name is Priscilla, and this is the Carnivore Journey. Have a wonderful week, and until I see you, bye.